I knew something was wrong the moment my sister hugged me with only her shoulders. Not her arms. Not her heart. Just bone and perfume. My name is Amaran Cube, and until a few months ago, I believed I had finally built a life that could no longer be shaken by anyone's opinion. Not my husband's, not society's, and certainly not my older sister, Linda, whose approval had been the currency of my childhood. I was wrong. Very wrong. But that revelation would come later. Right now, I was still living inside the illusion. A shiny life they envied. Or so I thought. If you asked anyone in Lagos who the Cubes were, they would tell you, a polished couple. Successful. Blessed. Unshakable. I was a financial consultant, running a boutique advisory firm for wealthy clients. My husband, Chaik, was a respected architect with a reputation for designing luxury homes in Ikoyi. Our house, the one we were still paying off in secret, stood tall in a high-end estate with palm-lined streets and uniformed security at every gate. From the outside, everything looked perfect. Even I believed it. Most mornings, I would wake up early, wrap my Ankara robe around me, and watch the sunrise through our glass bedroom wall, thinking, God has done it for me. But perfection is a dangerous thing. It blinds you. It whispers that nothing could possibly go wrong. And that's exactly when cracks start forming, quietly, like a hairline fracture on glass that waits for the right pressure to shatter. It began subtly. So subtle that I convinced myself it was nothing. Chaik started locking his phone. Not just locking, double locking, the kind you see people do when they are hiding something. He began working late. Then later. Then, sleeping at the office to meet a deadline. Whenever I asked questions, he used that soft voice of his, the one designed to make me feel dramatic. Amara, you worry too much, he would say with a small laugh. This is how you kill love, by suspecting what is not there. I believed him, or rather I believed the version of him I had married 5 years earlier. But even then, my stomach would twist a little. That quiet twist women feel when something is off. Linda, my beloved tormentor, had always treated me like the family ATM disguised as a younger sister. She earned well as a TV host, but money never stayed long in her hands. She preferred to take mine. Still, I loved her. Still, I excused her. Still, I allowed myself to believe she wanted the best for me. But 3 weeks before Christmas, she said something that sat in my chest like a stone. She visited our home, taking long, judgmental looks around as if evaluating how much everything cost. Then she sighed loudly, the way people do when they want you to ask what's wrong. I asked. And she smiled with too much teeth. Amara, I hope you know Christmas is no place for losers, she said lightly, stirring her tea. This year, only successful people will be at the family gathering. Don't come and embarrass us. I laughed, awkward, confused. Losers? Linda, what are you? She waved a hand dismissively. You'll understand soon. But be prepared. And please, don't come empty-handed like last year. People will expect more from you. Something tightened in my chest. People. Or you. She chuckled again. Please, my dear. At your level, you should not be counting money for Christmas contributions. I watched her. Really watched her. And for the first time, it hit me. She didn't see me as a sister. Just a wallet with emotions. I shook the thought away, telling myself I was being sensitive. But something about that visit clung to me. Her name was Joy, a quiet woman we employed 3 days a week. She rarely spoke unless spoken to, moving around the house with the efficiency of someone who had survived too many jobs and too many people. That morning, I found her in the laundry room staring at something on the ironing board. When she saw me, she jumped. Auntie Amara, I didn't know you were at home. I came back early, I said, narrowing my eyes at the cloth in her hand. What are you looking at? She swallowed hard. Just washing, Ma. But her voice shook. And the cloth, a white dress shirt, wasn't Chaik's. Chaik wore tailored shirts, not cheap cotton ones like this. Before I could ask more, she quickly stuffed it into the laundry basket and fled. It seemed like nothing. Nothing I could point at. Nothing I could confront Chaik with. But the unease was growing. My mother called next. Amara, my dear, your sister told me you and Chaik have been having financial struggles. Should we plan Christmas without you? I nearly dropped my phone. Financial struggles? Who told you that? We're fine. Linda said you've been depending on her. That you even borrowed money from her. Is it true? Borrow? Money? From Linda? The same sister who asked me for my assistance every month? I could barely speak. Mummy, I haven't taken anything from her. Not 1 naira. A long pause. Then my mother spoke softly. Amara, please just come to Christmas with a good contribution. Families talk. People notice. I hung up slowly. Something was very, very off. My sister had a plan. I just didn't know the shape of it yet. Around this time, my husband's behavior became clinical. He stopped greeting me with a kiss. Stopped sitting beside me when we watched TV. Stopped sharing updates about work. Instead, he spent hours on his laptop, always angling it away from me. One night, I asked, Chaik, are we okay? He didn't even look up. Amara, please. I'm under pressure. Don't add emotional stress to everything. That sentence stayed in my mind. Like a splinter. Emotional stress? Me. But again, I swallowed it. After all, marriage requires patience. Or so I told myself. It happened on a humid Thursday evening. Chaik had forgotten his laptop at home. He called from site, asking me to bring it. But I was in the middle of a virtual meeting, so I told him I'd send a driver instead. He got strangely angry. What do you mean send the driver? Amara, just bring it yourself. Stop making everything complicated. The anger was out of proportion. Wild. Panicked. As soon as we ended the call, a cold roll of suspicion moved down my spine. I walked to the study. The laptop was on the table, glowing. He had left it open, unlocked. And it was displaying an email thread. Not just any email thread. One titled, Divorce Settlement Draft, Confidential. My heartbeat stumbled. My vision blurred for a moment. I moved closer, reading slowly, line by line. As agreed, we will ensure she receives the minimum legal entitlement. Keep all premarital assets separated. The house must remain in your name. My lips parted. My hand shook on the mouse. Another email. Once she signs, you will be free to proceed with the relocation plans. Relocation. To where? With who? Another message. Different sender. Babe, when are you telling her? I'm tired of waiting. Babe. The room felt suddenly too small. Too hot. Too quiet. I scrolled. More messages. More plans. More language that carved into me like a blade. A divorce. A financial trap. A mistress. Every tiny suspicion I had ever had suddenly aligned into a single, horrifying truth. But the worst part, the emails were dated months ago. Meaning, my husband had been plotting this long before the first strange sign. Long before my sister's comments. Long before my mother's call. He had been building a life without me, while pretending everything was fine. My knees weakened. I sat slowly, breath shivering. Then something caught my eye. A forwarded message. From a name I knew too well. Linden Cube. I clicked it. And there it was. My sister had been helping him. The last line of the email froze my blood. Chaik, make sure she brings money for Christmas. Once she signs the divorce papers, she won't have access to her accounts again. Better to collect everything now. I stared at the screen, unable to blink. My sister. My own sister. And my husband. Working together. Against me. My chest tightened until it hurt to breathe. Then another notification flashed. A new message. From the same mistress. 3 words that shattered the last piece of innocence I had. She will break. I closed the laptop slowly. And for the first time in my life, I felt something sharp and cold settle inside me. Not fear. Not sadness. But resolve. Because if they thought I would break, they didn't know me at all. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of fear. No. Fear had died the moment I realized the truth. What kept me awake was something sharper, a cold, quiet clarity I had never felt before. I lay on the couch until morning, staring at the ceiling, listening to the soft hum of the AC, replaying every message I saw on Chaik's laptop. My sister. My husband. A hidden mistress. A planned divorce. A financial trap. And all of it orchestrated as if I were some naive fool who wouldn't notice. The more I thought about it, the more one realization settled in my bones. They had been preparing to throw me away like trash. Me, the same woman who lifted them both. Not again. Not this time. By morning, I felt strangely calm. Almost too calm. Chaik walked into the living room wearing fresh perfume, clean shave, dressed nicely like a man living a double life. He paused when he saw me. Amara, you're awake? Did you sleep here? I smiled. Yes. I was working late. He nodded slowly, studying my face, searching for cracks. He found none. If he knew I had opened his emails, he didn't show it. He kissed the top of my head, a habit he used to soften me, and said, I'll be home late tonight. Big project deadline. I nodded again. Of course. Work hard. The calmness in my voice should have frightened him. But he was too confident, too sure of his lies, too certain I was still the woman he could manipulate. At noon, I dressed carefully, a simple teal dress, small gold earrings, flats. Nothing extravagant. Then I drove to my private bank, the one only my wealthiest clients used, the one even Chaik didn't know I had accounts in. My personal banker, Mr. Adeyemi, greeted me with a confused smile. Madam Amara? Your appointment was scheduled for next week. I sat down. Something urgent came up. He straightened. What can we do for you? I leaned forward. I want every liquid asset tied to my name moved quietly into my personal trust. Effective today. Everything. His eyebrows jumped. That is a very large amount, Ma. Should I ask why? I looked him dead in the eyes. Because I have trusted the wrong people. He nodded slowly, understanding more than he said. And it must be done discreetly, I added. Discretion is our specialty. Within 1 hour, every financial trap they planned was dead. My accounts were empty, moved. My investments, protected. My shares, restructured. My signatures, updated. If they expected to corner me financially, they were already too late. As I walked out of the bank, my phone rang. Linda. I let it ring twice before answering. Amara, she shouted joyfully. Good news. I told the family you will be hosting Christmas Eve dinner. I hope your husband doesn't mind. Hosting dinner, announced on my behalf. I kept my voice cool. Linda, why would you do that without asking me? She huffed. Oh please, you have the biggest house, and the most money. It's only right. I heard it, the entitlement, the arrogance, the expectation that I would simply comply. She continued, also, I'll send you a list of what you should buy, new decorations, imported pastries, premium wine, Linda. The way I said her name made her pause. What? I smiled, even though she couldn't see it. Don't worry. This Christmas, I will give the family exactly what they deserve. She laughed. Yes, that's the spirit. Make sure it's a celebration people will talk about. Oh, trust me, I said. They certainly will. I hung up. She had no idea she was laughing inside the very storm she helped create. That evening, I sat in my car outside Chaik's office. I wasn't stalking him. I wasn't emotional. No, I was collecting data. At exactly 6:12 p.m., I saw her. A woman in a fitted burgundy dress, heels that clicked like confidence, and a handbag too expensive for someone on an architect's assistant salary. She wasn't classically beautiful, but she had the smug glow of someone who believed she had one. She walked out of the building and tapped her phone, smiling. Then she said it, loudly enough for me to hear, Chaik, I'm outside. My breath steadied. Her name? I didn't know it yet. But her role? Clear. She was the one calling my husband, babe. I watched her get into a taxi. I didn't follow. I didn't need to. I had a different plan. That weekend, Chaik's mother invited me to her house. It was unusual. She didn't call often. When I arrived, she hugged me warmly, offered me tea, and asked about work. 5 minutes later, her voice dropped. Amara, are you sure you and Chaik are okay? I looked up sharply. Why do you ask? She hesitated, then whispered, Your sister visited me. She said Chaik is unhappy, that your marriage is failing. She said, you might cause embarrassment during Christmas. My chest went cold. Linda had visited my mother-in-law? To pre-poison her? I forced a shaky breath. What else did she say? Chike's mother hesitated. That Chike is thinking of leaving. But don't worry, my dear. I told her marriages have ups and downs. Wait. I swallowed hard. Linda was spreading rumors before the divorce plan was revealed? Meaning, she had known the entire time. My throat tightened. I forced myself to ask calmly, Mummy, did she say anything about money? Her eyes flickered. She said you were mishandling the household funds. Mishandling? Me? The same person financing everyone? I smiled gently, but inside, something burned. Thank you, Mum. I appreciate you telling me. She held my hand. Whatever is happening, you are not alone. Oh, but I was. And that loneliness had formed into armor. That night, after Chike fell asleep, I quietly entered the study with a flash drive. His laptop was locked this time, but I watched him type the password earlier. He always used the name of something he loved most. Ironically, that used to be me. The password worked. I quickly downloaded every incriminating email. The mistress's name appeared, Yvonne. I saw their conversations, their photos, their travel bookings, their plans to move to South Africa after the divorce. I saw Linda's messages too. Make sure she signs without reading. Pretend you're stressed. She won't suspect. She's too emotional to think logically. When she loses everything, I'll help her manage. As if she were doing me a favor. I saw a final message from Yvonne. Once she's out, we can announce our engagement. Engagement? My chest tightened. They were planning to replace me like a faulty appliance. But the real twist came when I opened the folder labeled Legal. My hands froze. There, sitting neatly between documents, was a draft affidavit already signed by Chike. And witnessed by Linda. Her signature. Clear as day. Before I tell you the next part, the part where I began planning the exact revenge that none of them saw coming, let me pause here and say, if you're enjoying this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more powerful African tales. Now, let's continue. I deleted nothing. I touched nothing. I reacted to nothing. Because reacting gives them power. Silence gives me time. And time was all I needed. I visited a lawyer the next morning, secretly, and presented every document, every screenshot, every email. He examined them all, eyebrows rising higher and higher. Then he leaned back. Madam Amara, your husband and your sister are attempting a coordinated financial ambush. But legally, they just handed you every weapon you need. Meaning you will not lose your home. You will not lose your assets. In fact, he smiled, you might walk away with more than you came in with. I nodded slowly. Prepare everything I need. With pleasure. For 2 weeks, I acted like nothing was wrong. I greeted Chike warmly, cooked dinner, massaged his shoulders, played the perfect, unsuspecting wife. Sometimes he would look at me with guilt, maybe the last surviving piece of conscience in him, but then his phone would vibrate, and he would smile privately, forgetting me. Linda called almost daily, pressuring me about Christmas contributions. Amara, don't embarrass the family. Bring at least $700K for the celebration. Of course, I would reply sweetly. I'll bring more. She would giggle like a satisfied queen. None of them knew I had emptied every account. None of them knew the money they wanted was no longer accessible. They were planning a trap. And I was pretending to walk blindly into it. On December 24th, I dressed in a simple cream gown and drove to my parents' house. The moment I entered, I knew something was off. Everyone was watching me. The whispers were loud. The judgment hung in the air like humidity. Linda strutted toward me in a glittering red dress, smiling. Amara! Finally! We were waiting for you. She hugged me stiffly, then whispered in my ear, I hope you brought the money. The family needs it. I pulled back and smiled politely. Oh yes, I brought exactly what you all deserve. Confusion flickered across her eyes, but she didn't have time to question it, because Chike walked in behind me, wearing cologne, looking confident, and holding Yvonne's hand. My breath caught. Gasps filled the room. Conversations froze. My mother nearly dropped her tray. Linda clapped her hands softly and whispered to my mother, You see? I told you this marriage was collapsing. It was clear. They had planned to humiliate me publicly. Break me in front of the family. Corner me when emotions were high. force me to agree to the divorce settlement they had prepared. Chaik didn't even look ashamed. He approached me with a cold smile. Amara, we need to talk. But before I could answer, before I could even breathe, Linda stepped forward dramatically and said, Everyone, please gather. We have an announcement. My stomach twisted. They were about to execute the betrayal. Right here. Right now. In front of everyone. But what none of them knew was that I had already prepared my own reveal. A much bigger one. A final twist they could never predict. Linda raised her voice. As the elder sister, I must inform you all. But she never finished. Because the front door opened. And someone none of them expected walked in. Someone whose presence made Chaik's face drain of color. Someone whose arrival meant their entire plan was about to collapse. I turned slowly. And when I saw who it was, even I felt my breath stop. The room froze. Conversations halted. Chairs stopped creaking. Even the ceiling fan seemed to pause in midair. Because the person who stepped through the door was Chaik's boss, Mr. Alyamide Adebayo, the CEO of the architecture firm. A man Chaik idolized. A man who hated scandals, disloyalty, and anything that could affect the firm's global reputation. A man who should never have been at a family Christmas Eve gathering. But there he stood, tall, intimidating, well-dressed, with eyes that saw everything. Chaik's face turned ashen. Sir? What are you? How? Mr. Adebayo adjusted his glasses and looked directly at me. Mrs. Nkube, may we speak? He said. The way he addressed me, respectfully, warmly, sent ripples of confusion through everyone. I nodded. Of course, sir. But before I could move, my sister blocked my path like an overeager hyena. Excuse me, who invited you? This is a family gathering. He cut her off with a single cold glance. I wasn't invited, he said. But I was informed. His eyes shifted to Chaik. Then to Yvonne. And something in his expression made both of them visibly shrink. My heart beat steadily, calm, controlled. This was the moment everything turned. My aunt whispered loudly, Who told him to come? I smiled gently. I did. A collective gasp rolled through the room. Linda's eyes widened. What do you mean you did? I stepped forward, slowly, deliberately. I reached out to him, I said, after discovering a series of emails and documents. Chaik's jaw clenched. Amara, what did you do? Mr. Adebayo answered for me. What she did, he said, was expose gross professional misconduct. The room erupted. What? How? Oh my goodness. Chaik? You. Yvonne tried to fade behind him, but she was too late. Mr. Adebayo pulled out a folder and placed it on the dining table. These are screenshots, he said, of company designs, contracts, and confidential client information that Chaik has been forwarding to this woman here. He pointed at Yvonne. My mother covered her mouth. Chaik sputtered. It's not what you think, but his boss talked over him. Chaik, I trusted you. I gave you access to sensitive projects, and you risked the entire company because of an affair. He turned to the room. And this, he lifted the folder, is only half of what Amara sent me. Linda's mouth hung open like a broken hinge. I inhaled quietly. I only sent the work-related evidence, I said calmly. Not the personal betrayal. That one is for this family to hear. The entire room leaned closer. Now it was my turn. I turned to my parents, my voice steady. For months, Chaik and my own sister Linda have been planning to ambush me during Christmas. Whispers exploded. Linda's face flushed red. That's a lie. I continued as if she hadn't spoken. They created a financial trap. A divorce settlement that would strip me of the house, my investments, and even my company shares. They planned to humiliate me today so I would sign under pressure. My father slammed his walking stick on the floor. What? Linda. Chaik. Is this true? Linda stuttered. Baba, she's twisting things. You know Amara exaggerates. I pulled out printed emails and placed them on the table. Your signature is here, I said softly. She stopped speaking. Dead. I turned to Chaik. And yours. He swallowed hard, looking like a man watching his empire burn. Gasps filled the room again. My uncle shook his head. Even witches are not this heartless. My mother cried silently. Yvonne tried to move toward the door, but Mr. Adebayo blocked her. We're not done. Chaik took a shaky step toward me. Amara, please. Let's talk privately. No, I cut in. Everything you planned was public. Let the truth also be public. Linda suddenly snapped. You think you can survive without us? You think you're better than us? I tilted my head slowly. No, I don't think. I know. Mr. Adebayo spoke again. Chike, effective immediately, your contract is terminated. You will receive no severance. Sir, please, my job. You should have thought of that before risking the company. A low hum filled the room, the sound of justice settling. And, his boss continued, legal action may follow. Chike sank into a chair, trembling. I watched him without emotion. This wasn't revenge. This was consequence. Mr. Adebayo turned to her. Expect a lawsuit for involvement in corporate misconduct. Yvonne burst into tears. No, no, please, I didn't know, but it was too late. She ran outside, crying, tripping on her heels. My sister stood shaking, sweat rolling down her temples. I faced her directly. You spread rumors about me. You tried to turn the family against me. You planned to collect money from me today. Linda stepped back. Amara, please. I didn't mean harm. You already meant it. I placed her printed messages on the table. The family read them. Out loud. Her insults. Her greed. Her plotting. My father's face hardened like carved stone. Linda, he said slowly, you will refund every kobo Amara ever gave you. And you will not speak in any family meeting until further notice. Linda collapsed into a chair, shaking her head violently. No, Daddy, please. But he didn't look at her. Her reign ended. Just like that. Silence fell. Then, my lawyer walked in. Yes, my lawyer. Into my parents' living room, carrying a sealed envelope. Chike's eyes went wide. What is he doing here? My lawyer bowed respectfully. Madam, I have reviewed all your husband's documents, and I found something you must see today. He handed me the envelope. I opened it slowly. Inside was a property deed. I frowned. What is this? My lawyer smiled faintly. The house you and Chike live in. He never actually owned it. My mother gasped. I blinked twice. What do you mean? It was purchased 2 years ago under your name. Your real name. Not the married name. Your maiden name. A pin-drop silence filled the room. Chike went pale. No, that house is mine. I paid for. My lawyer raised a hand. You paid the mortgage, yes, but the property itself was bought by Amara's company long before the marriage hit trouble. Everyone turned to me. I swallowed. Yes, I bought the land years ago. Chike supervised the construction. I didn't think it mattered whose name it was under. The lawyer continued, and because the deed is in her maiden name, it is not part of marital property. Meaning, Chike has zero claim. Linda's mouth dropped open. You mean, Amara owns everything? My lawyer bowed. Yes, everything. I turned slowly, and looked directly at Chike. His legs buckled. He fell to his knees. Amara, please, mercy. I stared at him, the man who tried to destroy me. You wanted to take everything from me, I said softly. Instead, you lost everything. His tears fell onto the tiled floor. But I felt nothing. Absolutely nothing. A divorce filed. Quietly 2 days later, I filed for divorce. Clean. Civil. Irreversible. He signed without protest. He had no leverage left. And everyone knew it. A financial freedom, restored, all my protected assets remained intact. Chike received nothing beyond his personal belongings. Not even the guest room wardrobe. A family respect. Returned. My parents apologized for doubting me. My relatives began treating me with a new, almost reverent respect. People fear what they cannot manipulate. Alinda, the self-created outcast, no one trusted her anymore. No one asked for her opinions. No one invited her to decision-making. Her influence evaporated. She still tries to call me. I don't pick up. 3 weeks later, a courier delivered a handwritten letter to my office. From Yvonne. Inside it read, You don't know me, but I owe you an apology. I thought Chike was a victim. I thought you were the problem. He never told me you bought the house. He never told me you were funding the marriage. He said you were a burden. I realize now. He feared you. Because you were smarter than him. Stronger than him. More powerful than him. I'm sorry. I folded the letter gently. Not out of pity. But because it confirmed the truth. Chike wasn't looking for love. He was looking for someone he could stand above. And that would never be me. Christmas used to be a season where I stretched myself for people who would never stretch for me. People who saw my kindness as weakness. My success as a resource. My generosity as an obligation. But this Christmas taught me something life-changing. Never allow people who depend on you to convince you that you are the burden. I walked through fire, not to burn, but to become flame-proof. And now, I am free, whole, focused, stronger than betrayal ever imagined. And next Christmas, I won't be bringing money. I'll be bringing boundaries. The kind that cannot be broken. The end.